would hope that Putin would set aside his ambitions for recreating imperial Russia or recreating the Soviet Union and start to look at a reasonable future. He has in the palm of his hand right now, if he can cut a deal with President Trump and let him broker this peace deal and put peace in Western Europe, the United States and Russia could merge together and really do some incredible things. It would be peace in Europe, and that would set China off on its own and give them pause to what they're really doing. If he doesn't, the president has already said he's going to crush the Russian economy, and he can very easily. All he has to do is tell those who are doing business with the United States, if you want to continue to do business with us, you cannot do business with Russia. And at that point, the Russian economy implodes. It's already in trouble. It's staggering. It would implode. And then what would happen with domestic unrest inside Russia and Putin's grasp on power?
Well, I want to ask you about the China factor. You know, we know that China has helped Russia. China is building up its own military, and China has put out some big objections to President Trump's plan for a strategic missile defense system, similar to Israel's Iron Dome. So do you think that President Trump is right to try to pull Putin away from China as he's working on this peace deal with Ukraine?
Absolutely. It was initially thought, I believe, in the halls of power in Washington, that what would happen is that Nixon's visit to China would bring China into the world economy, and that it would be the United States and China against Russia to outweigh Russia. Now I think those tables have turned, and it's in Putin's opportunity, if he just would, it could be the United States and Russia, and then China would be the outlier. And that would be, for world peace, that would be absolutely huge, because this nonsense of talking about Russia and China teaming up together against the United States, if you look deep into Russian history and into what I call their DNA, their political DNA, their threat has always been from the Far East. Now, of course, Napoleon invaded and Hitler invaded from the West. Yes, I get that. But they were always worried about what they called the Yellow Menace. It was the Chinese, because if you look at where the Russian population is, it's all in the West. They have hardly anything in the East. All of that territory, all those 12 or 13 time zones, most of them are unpopulated, and they're all sitting right above the landmass of China. So if the Chinese wanted to go up and take all those natural resources and take that land, the only thing that they could do is resort to a nuclear confrontation, because they don't have the troops to cover that vast area of land and the mass of the Chinese military.
Well, on the plus side, the general sense in Washington is that because NATO is engaged in the negotiation with Putin and Zelensky, China is unlikely to try to move on Taiwan, at least while President Trump is in office. Do you agree with that thinking?
I absolutely agree that the Chinese will not take kinetic action against Taiwan as long as President Trump is in office. I absolutely agree with that. And that's because they've seen what he's done since he's been back, not just his first term, but since he's been back. There's a whole new sheriff in town, and this is a different administration than that first administration. It wasn't the administration where he fell in on the Washington apparatchiks. No, he's handpicked his people. And if you look at who's running this country now, with the president and his cabinet, solid, really solid. And it's going to be a uniform response. There won't be any bickering. And the Chinese know that when Trump calls the shots, that's the way it's going to play out. And they're scared.
Because the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away.